guys, what's going on? Second video here with my Chevy Silverado. It's a LT 2013, kind of before all the cool new tech stuff is coming out. It's always been my baby. Treated it probably nicer than I need to. You know, put on a 6-inch lift way back in 13. And kind of loved running it ever since. I'm not sure if when I'll be getting a new truck, but for now, I'm making this one kind of nice as possible. This video, though, we are going to be talking about putting in some bed lights. I saw this initially on ChrisFix's channel, so shout out to him, link in the description, all that jazz. I'll go ahead and show it to you right now. Without any further ado, let's get going. Okay, so I guess might as well just get straight down to it. Open up the bed, lights come on, there they are. What we got going on, a few different things. I've got an override switch here, which we'll get to in a minute. In terms of how these generally operate, we've got down here a magnetic sensor. You know, you shut the bed. The one here, the sensor on the tailgate swings up, comes close to the one in the lights. You see the bed lights have gone off, come back on, off, on, off, on. So essentially why I have an override switch, if I wanted to be, you know, driving down the road with a big long load or something in here, didn't want the lights on, I can just come over here, click the switch, turns them off. I'll show you how this operates here. And I set it up so the ring around the light switch turns on when the bed lights turn off. When I saw ChrisFix do this, he left this ring off here. Personal choice for me. I want to be able to easily find the switch in the dark. All right, so that is pretty much the bed lights. Not sure if you've seen the video I did on the app research steps, but you kind of got a chance to see the lights I used for that. I used the exact same lights for this one. You can kind of see the LED diodes there. I use the same ones because they are IP67 waterproof. If you don't know what that stands for, it's ingress protection, 6 for the dust and particulate, 7 for the waterproof rating, as I understand it. Different manufacturers kind of define it differently, but essentially what it means is you can submerge it up to like a meter deep or something like that for about a half hour without any issues. I'm obviously never going to do anything like that, so this should be more than enough for my purposes. Now, where I chose to mount these was a little bit different than what I had in mind initially, but worked out really nicely, especially because I don't plan on doing anything with this bed cover anytime soon in terms of removing it. If I did, I would have to remove the lights, because what I ended up doing was running the lights on the, back up here, you can kind of see it here. There is this rail, there it is, right in here, that comes off the bed covers. See if we can't get this to focus. Not sure we can, but the space between the bed here, the bed, you know, right here, and the sort of clamping area that the rail mounts to the bed, there's a, like, maybe, I don't know, I'll call that mostly a centimeter of space in here, and it was just enough to squeeze my 1/2-inch bed lights in here, so I ended up sticking these guys to the top of this bed cover rail, which was really excellent because it's anodized aluminum, and that was a smooth, flat, polished finish, which was excellent for the 3M tape. I was mostly worried that if I were to stick it underneath the actual bed rail, which has been sprayed with this bed liner, it wouldn't stick because it's such a rough finish. So I ended up putting it on the up in here on the bed cover rails there, and so far it's been working great. I thought I might see the lights falling down. It hasn't been too hot. We've had a couple 80-degree days. They've been performing perfectly. You can kind of see them in there. Turn off camera light here, you can kind of see them right in there. And again over here. Now these lights are a different strip. I had to run power. My bed, it just worked out. There was a hole right in there that I ran this through, down into the tail light this way, and then take a look underneath and just see where the cables come out. So you'll see it coming down through the tail light. I ran out of the plastic sheathing, so I just kind of ran this by itself, but I think we're okay because there's not a whole lot going on back here, but you can see it coming down from the bed up there through the taillight housing and then straight over. Alright, we'll be right back with the wiring schematic. Alright guys, I got the world's jankiest tripod here to show you this wiring schematic. It is my bike stand for working on my bike. Just kind of drew the cab here. Back here is the bed outline. And here represents the battery relative to everything else in my truck. So coming off of the battery here is a, inline fuse. That's what this squiggle is. Run the cables around the front of the engine bay, back down below the cab, all the way down the side of the bed. Bringing this big old mess into view here. And we'll see if we can't lower this down here, get a little closer. No. So this is kind of what I want to focus on for the remainder of the video here on the schematic. So what do we have? We've got the blue squigglies here, and over here on this side, these represent the light strips themselves. They have a red wire coming off of the strip, and a black wire. Same with this guy over here. It's got a black for the ground, red for the hot. Typical stuff, all these light strips off Amazon, pretty much the same deal. So how we've connected it to the switch, the override switch, the magnetic switch, and ground is kind of in here. It looks kind of intimidating at first, but it's not too bad. You'll see the switch here is my crude drawing of the switch. This sort of white shaft coming off is actually a white wire. I just don't have a white pen. So we've got a green wire here, a green wire here, a white wire, and a black wire, and a red wire. So what you'll see is power coming from the battery straight through. And no, this is not a fuse. That's just a regular connection. Use some heat shrink there, but no fuse. So I don't have a whole lot of electrical experience. My brother's an electrical engineer. He walked me through sort of how to set this guy up. Everything else, I pretty much got what I needed from ChrisFix's video. I had a little additional feature I wanted to add where I made the override switch. When you press it in, I wanted the light to light up, which they didn't have in his video, so I talked to my brother about that one. Bigger sort of blow-up view on the back we'll get to in a second. But anyway, we're going to run power straight through to the power wire on the switch. And now we're going to hop to the back to discuss these other wires. When I bought this switch off of Amazon, there was no, there was no instruction that came with it. Just a switch. It was like $9, link down below. And it had 5 wires coming off the bottom and 4 different colors total. So you had a black wire, a green wire, a white wire, another green wire, and a red wire. So what do we do with all these wires? And how do you figure out which one does which? That guy. If you don't have one of these guys, get one because it's cheap and awesome and useful. What you do, you set your multimeter to that setting. Don't know what it's called. My brother told me to do it. I am kind of dumb when it comes to electricity and how it all works. Anyway, what this setting does, you touch the leads together. The multimeter actually beeps at you. You can't screw it up. So what that does is it tells you by beeping when your circuit is closed. So using that feature, we can figure out which wire does what. Ground was black. 90% sure that was the case. Red, power, again, probably 70% sure that was the case. It could have been white. anyway, I went ahead and just tested it using the multimeter. The 2 green wires turned out to be signal wires. One of them, if you connect, your lead to, for instance, if you have it set to that handy setting, you connect. So you're going to check out this green wire, which happens to be closed when pressed. You press the button in, you connect your lead to a white wire and the other one to the green wire. If the button's pressed in, it beeps. That means this green wire, the signal wire, is sending power, or is the circuit's being closed when you press the button in. Now what that meant for us was that when the button's pressed in, the circuit is closed. The green is closing the circuit. The other one, when the button's pressed in, and so you did this green one and this white one, if the button was pressed in, nothing would happen. It turns out if you unpressed it, it would beep. Meant that the circuit was closed when it was not pressed. So one green wire closes the circuit when it's not pressed. The other one closes it when it is pressed. Now, what was a white wire for? It was pretty simple to figure that out. All I had to do was connect this white wire and this black wire to my battery directly. White wire to the battery, black wire to the ground or the negative terminal. Doing that, LED ring lit up. That confirmed the white wire is to power the LED. So what I ended up doing was connecting the green wire that's closed when pressed to the white wire. So every time you press the button, it lights up. Every time you wanted the bed lights to turn on, you don't want the button to press, you just want them to turn on automatically when you open the tailgate. So bed lights got connected to this green wire, closed when not pressed, so just open the tailgate, button's not pressed, lights turn on. Black wire was ground, red wire again hot. So flipping back over to the main schematic here, you can see, get rid of those guys. The green wire that closes the circuit when the switch is not pressed goes over here, connects to the hot wire on the light, and then again the hot wire on the other set of strips. The black wires on the light strips, they connect to this black wire here off the magnetic switch. We're not going straight to ground with these guys. We're going straight to the magnetic switch, which is the override. So when the switch shuts, the lights turn off. Now the other wire off of the magnetic switch here, that's the ground. So you've got a green wire that goes to the hot wires on the light strips. You've got a green wire that goes, the other one that's closed when pressed goes to the light source that sends power to the light when it's pressed in. Red is just hot, so red to red, pretty straightforward there. And then black is of course ground. So we had 2 grounds in this setup. To test the magnetic switch, you just put it on where you want to place it and connect your multimeter ends here to the wires off the switch. And if it beeps when it's closed, when the tailgate's closed, then you're good to go. If not, then you got to get the switch to a little bit better position. So that's the schematic there. Alright guys, I wanted to show you, after showing you all the install work and getting the bed lights going, I wanted to show you how it looks at night. I know I showed it to you earlier during the day with the cover over them. You can kind of see it, but at night you really get a sense for really how bright it is, how nice it is having them, and also for having the override switch light up as well. Tailgate, lights come on, really just lights up the whole bed subtly, not too much, not garishly in your face or anything like that. You can see pretty much everything all the way straight down there. And again, if you needed to have a large load in here and you needed the tailgate down, you didn't want the lights on, especially while you're driving, I'm sure that probably would be less than legal at night to have white lights out of the back of your car. You would come in here and override it with this guy. Lights completely off, completely dark in here. Again, you can see the override switch, no problem. You don't have to go hunting around in the dark for it. You just click it right there, turn them back on. So if you liked what you saw in the video, make a comment below, subscribe for more. I might be doing another project up here shortly about maybe putting in some LEDs in the grill, just hidden LEDs there. We'll see how that goes.